All right, thanks for your patience. I don't exactly know what was happening there, but I couldn't get my camera to go live on the software that I was using. So we're going live straight from YouTube. And so let's get this party started. So I don't have all my fancy tech because my fancy tech let me down. All right. So, as members of a capitalist society, most of us have way too much stuff. We've been conditioned to buy, but the accumulation of all that stuff can prevent you from living the life that you really want, really from getting on the road. So, welcome to the live stream. I'm Joni Zander. I'm the content creator and road guide here at TheGalavan. I help women get on the road and become successful nomads. Tonight, I'll be sharing steps that you can take to downsize your stuff so that you can join us out on the road. And after I go through the steps, I'm going to open it up to questions. So if you have a question as I go along, go ahead and put it in the chat, starting with a question mark so that I know that it's a question. And I'll answer them all at the end because we all know I'm not very skilled at reading the chat as I go along. And women, after the live stream, come on over to our Nomadic Women's virtual happy hour to dive deep into this topic. And you can grab that link in our Facebook group, Gal Adventurers. All right, so I've always liked organizing, but what I would do is I would find storage for more stuff. And when I decided to live in a van, I knew that I didn't want to rent a storage unit. Now, I had the benefit of having former in-laws who full-timed in a fifth wheel for 19 years. And so I wasn't new to nomad life, and I learned some lessons from them, including, so they did a big garage sale, got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. They had a huge house, and they had 4 kids that they had raised and were all grown. Um, and so they condensed their stuff down to a fairly large storage unit that they had to pay for month after month after month, year after year for 19 years. I think it ended up being, doing the math, 228 months of paying for storage. And every year they would have the chore of going to their storage unit and assessing everything, taking an inventory, all the things that you do when you have stuff that you don't actually use. And then at the end of that 19 years, they went to the storage unit and found that most of it didn't really fit into their new house, and most of it just wasn't really worth it after all. And so I learned that lesson from them. I am very grateful. So everything that I own is in my van, um, with the exception of 2 boxes of photo albums. So how did I do that, right? So one of the things that I did was I used the Life-Saving Magic of Tidying Up book by Marie Kondo. It's a little book. You could probably get it at your library, and it's very step-by-step on how to get through your stuff. So let's go into just how to do that. Now, I think Marie Kondo has gone through, and does probably a lot more with her brand and things like that. But let's just work off of what I remember from 8 years ago about the book. So the first step to downsizing and getting rid of some of your stuff is your mindset. So how you think about your stuff, and that probably depends on its category. So some of the categories, or the most common categories, are clothing, personal items, kitchen, furniture, other household items like art, books, music, tools, cleaning supplies, craft and hobby supplies and equipment. So those are the most common. And the most common places that women get stuck when they're trying to downsize is, first and foremost, sentimental items. So these can be your own personal sentimental items, like, um, you know, music concert t-shirts, or little collections of things. It could also be family heirlooms, things that have been passed down to you from other family members. Um, or it could even be, a lot of women end up hanging on to their kids' possessions after their kids grow up and move out of the house. Um, Another place that a lot of women get stuck is what I consider investment stuff. So things that you thought of when you bought them as an investment, or you felt like you invested a lot of money, or you spent a lot of money on the item. Maybe you bought something that was a more expensive version of something that you could have gotten cheaper, something like that. Another huge hang up for women, for a lot of people, is, what if I need it later? And we'll go into all of these in detail. And then also, and this was hard for me, how do I get rid of it without being wasteful? So the real quick and easy is work in categories. Do the easiest categories first. And I feel like bathroom and linen closet can be your easiest categories for most people. Use a timer. If you're having a hard time getting going, like starting, like you're not even close to getting on the road because you have no idea what you're going to do with all this stuff and you just can't get motivated to do it, then setting a timer every day and making it so that it's not so overwhelming, and that do the easy stuff first, that helps you get some good, oh gosh, I'm losing my words. What is it? So some good momentum. If you get a category done, then you feel like you've had some success. And so if you set your timer for 15 to 30 minutes a day, and you know that you don't have to do it anymore, like you can stop as soon as that timer goes off, then maybe, just maybe, you can get the motivation to do it. Now, Marie Kondo has this. She's actually very famous for hold each item and ask if it brings you joy. Now, a lot of people make a lot of fun of that, and a lot of people are like, well, I kind of hate it, but I have to have it, like maybe a CPAP or something. And you can like change your attitude about the things that you need, by saying something like, okay, if it's a CPAP that you don't like, think, okay, I love being able to breathe while I sleep. Kind of change your thought process around those things. So this might be more helpful if the brings you joy doesn't help. Ask yourself, is it useful? Is it needed? Do I like it? Would I buy it again? All right. So if I needed an item, would I buy it again? And for nomads, this is really important. Is it durable? So will it last on the road? And can it serve more than one purpose on the road? All right. And then what you have to do is you have to make the decisions. You just have to. Um, you, I would really caution you to have a maybe category. The categories that I recommend are keep, trash, recycle, donate, and sell. Okay. So if you already have your rig and you have the luxury of time, and this is what I was able to do. I was able to move in the things that I knew I needed right away. So all the things that I knew I needed went out into my van, and I found homes for them. And then as I lived my life in my van, and I needed something from my sticks and bricks, this was before I got rid of everything. I had gotten rid of a lot, but I hadn't gotten rid of everything. I had basically my first round of everything, because it's going to take you more than one round, probably. So then if I needed something when I was living in my van, but still at my sticks and bricks, I would go in and get it. And then I'd find a home for it in my van. And that really, really helped me have a very organized van when I launched. Okay. So let's go through those categories. So clothing. This one is an interesting one for nomads because you don't need as many clothes as you think you need. You're going to see these same, I have two styles of shirts. You're going to see the same ones all the time. I have 3 different colors of the same shirt, and that's it. And these are wool shirts, so they don't get stinky, and I can rinse them off. They don't have to have a full wash to be able to go again, and they hang dry overnight. So durable clothing that you don't have to. So when I started, my hanging closet was about like this, and it was full. And now it's about like this, and the rest of it's food. So really rethink. So most nomads wear the same thing until it's really dirty. Okay, that cuts down on your laundry. It's actually better for your clothes. And if you can afford to go to wool, and these are the one I've tried 4 different brands of wool shirts. The ones that I prefer, like strongly prefer, is Wool and they're a company out of Portland, and that's what I wear. They're comfortable and they are good for all weather. Good in warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and again they don't absorb odors. All right, other personal items. This would be your shoes, your jackets, your scarves, your hats, all those other things. And I would even include bathroom stuff in this. So as a nomad, and this is just what I do, just hopefully what I do is helpful for you, is that so I have limited my shoes to 1 pair of hiking boots, 1 pair of hiking shoes, which if you have only ever done hiking boots and you haven't tried hiking shoes, I highly, highly recommend them. They're so much more comfortable. So that my hiking shoes are also my everyday shoes, my sneakers, that it's just that 1 pair. I have 1 pair of sandals. I have and I just recently, I think they're called Bedrock. They're so comfortable. And then I have 1 pair of rubber boots, and I just got those last summer when I was in Alaska because I was in a ton of rain, and they're super fun. And then I have a totally unnecessary pair of shoes. They are sparkly gold Oxfords that I consider my dancing shoes. And then I also have a pair of completely minimalist, what I consider my city shoes. Jackets. What I did was I went with 1 wool sweatshirt. You can tell I'm really big on wool. The merino wool, I find it very comfortable. It's not scratchy at all. So the 1 wool sweatshirt, I have 1 puffy jacket, and I have 1 rain jacket that can go over either or both of those layers. So it becomes a very, very warm jacket if I need something that's much warmer. Hats, I have a really warm wool hat. I have a much lighter weight, just beanie hat. And then I have my 1 sun hat. And then a couple years ago, I added a Sunday afternoon hat that has a super huge brim and that goes down my neck for times when I'm going to be really out in the sun for a long period of time. So, and I had, and then I have 1 scarf. I had a whole wall of scarves. I had a collection of hats. I had probably 5 to 10 jackets. So I wasn't super minimal when I was in my house, but I didn't want to be tripping over my stuff. I didn't want to have to find room for extra stuff. And so this 3-layer for my jackets really, really works for me. And then I think that's it for those things. And you're going to figure out what's going to work for you. You'll probably bring, as you launch, you'll probably have more than you need, and you'll find free piles and charities to drop off things along the way. Okay, kitchen. I actually have a whole video that I did on my kitchen. And so if you're really interested in that, go look at that. And I'll try to remember to link that in the description when we're all done. Of course, this video is not at all set up like I had it, so whatever. But kitchen, I have number 7 cast iron pan, and then an Instant Pot, and that's it. And I do everything with that. I don't do hot beverages, so if you do hot beverages, you're going to need something to take care of that. But I have been able to manage all my cooking, and I cook. I really like to cook, and so I've been able to manage with just those 2 items. And I have 2 dinner plates that I almost never use. I have 2 of the smaller plates that I almost never use. The things that I use the most, I have I had a big salad bowl, but it got a crack in the bottom, and I didn't want to have to figure out how to fix it while I was on the road. And so I got rid of it and got a cake pan, just a small stainless steel cake pan that's really, it serves the same purpose of going to potlucks and holding my big salad and that sort of thing, but it's very lightweight. And then I have a small wooden bowl, and then I mostly, honestly, just eat out of my Instant Pot or my cast iron pan, because fewer dishes, less waste in water. But you do not need to have guest plates and silverware and all of that stuff. As a nomad, if you're meeting up with other nomads, it's very, very common to, if you're cooking for other people, to ask them to bring a plate or a bowl or whatever it is that they need. You don't have to have it for everybody. So I have 3 of each of dinner forks, the dessert forks, teaspoons, soup spoons. I have two knives. So you don't have to have a ton of stuff in your kitchen. And you're not going to cook as elaborately on the road, probably. And I definitely don't. I mean, I was one of those women who pretty much couldn't resist a kitchen boutique store. And so I had the tool for everything. I had it all. And I have been able to downsize to a pretty modest kitchen that you can see in that video. Okay, so furniture. Now this one can be a tough one if you don't know how long you're going to want to be on the road and you don't think it's going to be really long. So a lot of people go on the road to figure out where they want to move to next. So if that's your category of nomad, then you will need to figure out your furniture. But the question to ask yourself is, can I purchase this fairly inexpensively when I do when I do find the spot that I want to settle down in? Because storage is expensive and things deteriorate as they're stored. And so, and they might not fit quite right in the new place or whatever. So unless it's a really special piece of furniture, I would recommend selling it, maybe taking it to a furniture consignment store or something like that. Okay. All right. So other household items. This is kind of a big category, but artwork, books, that would be photo albums, music, tools, cleaning, all those things. you don't have a lot of wall space in your rig. No matter how big your rig is, none of them have a lot of wall space. So if you have special artwork that you need to keep, then you need to find a place to store it. Um, what I did on books, and I actually don't mind reading on Kindle on my phone. And actually, most of the time now, I am reading with my ears. I use Audible while I'm driving. So, and I do have, I should link this one too. I do have one of my favorite van tours. She had a lot of books, a lot of books. And I've interviewed a number of women and done van tours for women who do carry a lot of books. For me, I was able to just keep a few reference books, and then all the rest of them, I just bought them on Kindle and got rid of all the books. Music, I stream my music. So I actually haven't had a way to play a DVD or a CD player in a really long time. So I've been streaming music long before I was a nomad. So that's an option. Basically, anytime you can digitize something, tools, just figure out the tools that you will need on the road, primarily for your rig, for maintaining your rig, and sell or donate all the rest of them. Cleaning supplies, again, you don't need a lot of cleaning supplies for a van or an RV. You maybe need a bottle with vinegar and a bottle with an all-purpose cleaner. I use microfiber towels with just a little bit of water for windows and things like that. This one's actually for cleaning the outside of my van. And I should talk about that sometime, because I learned something this year that I am loving, but that is totally off topic. So you don't need as many cleaning supplies. You don't have as much to clean. I don't even have a vacuum cleaner. I have rugs that I can shake. And if I need a vacuum cleaner, and I'm not with someone who has one, then I'll just go to a car wash. They all have vacuum cleaners. It's not something I need to. It's not something I would use enough to make space for. And then another category that a lot of women have trouble with is craft and hobby supplies and equipment, because that stuff can take up a lot of room. Now, the thing that I had the hardest time with that stuff, because it's not cheap. I mean, we have spent a lot of money on this stuff, and I was having a hard time finding someone to take it until I met the arts and crafts woman at the local Boys and Girls Club. And she was actually really, really excited to be able to have a fairly large quantity of mostly scrapbooking and card making materials that were, really high quality, and to allow the kids to have just high quality tools and equipment and supplies. So that felt really good to me, and it didn't feel like I was wasting it. Okay. So let's talk about the sentimental items, because these are so hard. I had a lot of family heirlooms. I was kind of the keeper of the family heirlooms for my ex's family. And I had a few of my own from my family as well. And I basically just pushed it back on them, because a lot of them were still living, or, the people wanted them. Anyway, so I managed to get those, the ones that they cared about, they got. And then the ones that they didn't care about, I wasn't going to keep. Now, if you're the last person in your family, what do you do with your family heirlooms? And I want to ask you this in all seriousness. Do you really think that the family members who passed on and had those items, do you really think that they would want you to not live out your dreams because of their stuff? So really think about that, because I really don't think they would. I really think that they would want you to live as big of a life as you possibly could. I think we all, as parents, we want that for our children and our grandchildren. And so don't let someone's possessions be an anchor for you. Okay. And that goes for kids too. So if you have kids and you have been storing their stuff, then just put it back on them. If they want it, great. And if they don't, they don't. If it's stuff that you want to remember, then digitize it. A lot of kids stuff is paperwork, right? A lot of stuff that we kind of want to hang on to. I happen to have all of that in photo albums, so that's stored at my dad's house. But honestly, if they don't care about it, and the younger generations generally don't care that much. They're much more minimalist. Most of them are. My kids certainly are much more minimalist than I ever was. But if you have your own sentimental items, just take pictures of it. It's the memories that are important. So it's like, as I mentioned, concert t-shirts. So let's just go with that as an example. And that kind of goes along with any kind of memory item, right? So if you have a memory item like a concert t-shirt, and if you're not willing to make it into a quilt like a lot of people dream about doing, then just take pictures of them. And some of them, if they're older, you might be able to get some good money for them too. So just don't let your memories anchor you to your future. So, I think this is just so important with this topic, the downsizing topic, is that you just really don't want your things from the past to prevent you from enjoying your future. Okay. Now, the things that you feel like you spent a lot of time or a lot of money on, so I'm a CPA by trade. That's what I started my adult life doing. We call that a sunk cost. Basically, you've already paid the money, and you can there's nothing you can do about that. The money is already spent, and so what is that owning that item? There's a cost to you to that currently. So what is the cost to you? It might be that if you really feel like you need to hang on to that stuff, maybe you have to have a bigger rig. Maybe that costs you in fuel. Maybe that costs you in, maybe you are limited to campgrounds instead of being able to boondock because your rig is bigger. Maybe if you're in a van, maybe that stuff is costing you just the hassle of what we call the van life shuffle, moving your stuff from one place to another so that you can use the other space. So a lot of people store a lot of things on their bed, and then they move it to the front cab when they're sleeping. And then when they're ready to drive, they move it from the cab to the bed. So that there's a cost to that, right? So you don't want to be drowning in your stuff. Not having so much stuff is a lot of freedom, and a lot of us get on the road for the freedom. So don't let your stuff prevent you from having that freedom. There's a lot of philosophy in this one. Sorry. Okay, so the question, what if I need it later? Okay, so I have a really great example of this. I got rid of my big salad bowl and replaced it with a much smaller cake pan. So it's still about this big, but it doesn't have the tall sides. It just has like an inch side rather than a 3-inch side. And I was going to a potluck the other day, and I was making a big salad, and I was like, oh crap, I got rid of my salad bowl. And then I realized that I was making a salad. I wasn't using my Instant Pot. I have a clean Instant pot, and so I made my salad in the Instant Pot insert. Perfect solution. The Instant Pot has so many different uses in my van, including a salad bowl when I need it. So, so that, in fact, I actually bought, so I had, I think it was called, I don't know, I know I called it a magic pot. It was like a clay pot that I loved before I got on the road. And I replaced it with the Instant Pot when I found out that I could make quick breads and cookies in the Instant Pot. So you can kind of bake, like steam bake in the Instant Pot. And so I switched that out before I launched because it was about the same footprint and it could do all the things that I wanted it to do, including be a salad bowl. And then, so the other part of that, what if I need it later, is can you do without it? If not, can you replace it easily? You're probably not going to be very far from a thrift store or some sort of store, a Walmart, whatever, an Ace Hardware, whatever. So, so if you truly need it later, then you can purchase it again. And I know it feels so wasteful to get rid of something and then purchase it again. But if you don't know that you need it and you haven't needed it for a while, then go ahead and get rid of it. And if you absolutely have to have it, if you just can't stand not having it, then just get it again. There's not going to be very many things that are in that category, I assure you. And then how do you get rid of it without being wasteful? Oh, wait, I had something else about what if you need it later? Dang it. Oh, this should actually, I should have talked about this with clothes. A lot of people, especially a lot of older adults, have multiple sizes of clothing. As you're going through your clothing, only keep the stuff that fits you. You're going to be you when you're on the road. You might lose some weight, you might gain some weight. You can adjust your clothes. You can thrift for new clothes, but only keep the stuff that fits you, that looks good on you, that you feel good in. And I know a lot of nomads who actually only wear thrifted clothes. And when they get tired of something, they take it to, they donate it and get something new. There are so many free piles with really good stuff. So that's a really good way to kind of cycle through clothes, that sort of thing. And then the last one, how to get rid of it without being wasteful. So so personally, I hate doing garage sales. Some people love them. I don't find them worth it to me. Um, I, so I donated a lot of stuff and I just sold the higher ticket items, the stuff that had more value. You might need to get every penny out of everything, and that's totally fine. You do what you need to do. But for a lot of people, they find that garage sales just aren't worth it. They're a lot of work for not very much. But one thing about hanging on to stuff that you don't use, now this is going to get really woo, but it's the energetic value of something. So, and this might speak to you, it might totally not speak to you. You might be completely not into woo, but for me, the energetic value of something, if I'm not using something, and I actually learned this, I used to have a djembe, which is an African drum, and my African drum teacher said, this is it's a goat skin, and we need to honor the goat who gave the skin by using the drum. Use the drum. Don't just have it as decoration. So everything has an energetic value. It's either sucking energy from you or it's improving your life and giving you energy. So like, I have an e-bike, and while I don't use it a ton, I use it quite a lot and I love it. that gives me a lot of energy. Now, if I weren't using it at all, I need to get rid of it and use that space for something else and have it be used, have it be enjoyed by somebody. And you can do that with any item that you have, right? So if it's clothing, if it's whatever you have excess of. Oh, towels. I didn't talk about towels. I only have one bath towel. I have a bunch of hand towels and a bunch of little washcloths that I use every day. But I have the one bath towel and a one of those bath towel, like the shower mats. That's just a towel. I don't know. There must be a name for it, and I'm sure somebody can put it in the comments if you know it. But it's a small thick towel. And I use that whenever I take a shower, wherever I take a shower. I put that down out so that I have some place to step out, so that oh, and Brenda says Turkish towel. Yes, my bath towel is, my actual towel is a Turkish towel. It's really thin. It dries really quickly. But this one that's really thick, I use it. It's like a bath mat, but it's a towel. And I use it wherever I take a shower because if I'm taking a shower in a friend's home, I don't want to leave water on the floor or do any of that. I dry off in the shower, but still, and if it's someplace that's not super clean, then I have a clean place to step out. So that works for me. You do what works for you. But I also don't really shower all that often. So I mostly do a wash with washcloths. And so that's why I have a lot of washcloths and one bath towel. All right. So I think we are ready for questions. So I'm going to pop on over to the chat. I saw that it was very, okay. I see, I think, oh, great. We do have some questions. Awesome. I'm going to just scroll up to the top. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that that you're all here. Let's see here. Someone mentioned the Fly Lady. I actually used to follow the Fly Lady way back, way back, barely internet. And I thought her stuff was great. One of my biggest takeaway with the Fly Lady, and this has more to do with keeping things organized and clean, is don't for now things. So don't put something down for now. Put it away. If it's a dirty dish, put it, wash it or put it in the dishwasher. If it's if it's something that needs to be put away, don't just put it somewhere for now. Put it away, and then you don't spend all the time looking for it. And anyone who knows me knows that I live by that pretty closely. Okay. It does take a few rounds, yes. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go right to the questions. So Brenda has, for tops, for hot weather, trying to find appropriate hot weather shirts. Yeah, so tanks. And I haven't changed to wool tanks, but I'm going to. So yeah. And these are actually good for really warm weather. I wouldn't say hot weather. And sun shirts, actually long sleeve sun shirts, I find to be really good for hot weather. And then I just spray them down with a little bit of water to make them cooler. But I find it cooler if I'm in the sun. I find it cooler to have my skin covered than to have it uncovered and in the sun. So I hope that helps. Let's see, questions. Going to, let's see. Pizza, muffins. I don't eat pizza or muffins. I know you can make pizza like in a cast iron pan on the stove. And if you can if you have enough room, I only use a 3-quart Instant Pot because that's only a 700 watt appliance. The 6-quart, the bigger one, is like a 12 or 1300 watt appliance. So I just don't want to use the energy for that. Okay. Quilt. Yep, you can make a quilt. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yeah. Brenda, if you're asking about pizza, I would do it on the stove rather than in the Instant Pot. But you could probably, I bet Google knows. That's what I always told my kids. I bet Google knows the answer to that. I don't. um, yeah, you can wear tanks. It doesn't matter what size your body is. Wear what you want. Who cares? And we're the same age, Brenda. All right. Did I miss any that didn't have question marks? And if there are no more questions, we're going to close out the live, and the women can join me over at our Nomadic Women's virtual happy hour, which will be starting in about 10 minutes. So we can definitely dive deeper into it at that point. And if you need the link, oh, I'm so glad. Somebody, CJ said, I really needed this. Yay. I actually love this topic, if you can't tell. So I hope that if you've been struggling with downsizing, that this has been helpful. Do leave comments with other tips or what you found most inspiring. And then, women, let's dive deep in. And if you need the link, it can be found in the pinned post in Gallup Ventures. And until next week, enjoy your journey.